Toby, how a busy couple of weeks. How a little bit of a week off. How are you bearing up after the South Africa trip?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very taxing, like for lots of different reasons. Time away from family, emotionally, you know, the nature of the games, the whole experience. So we often plan for some downtime upon return, which makes sense, and we plan for that. So I think that was well received. You know, celebrate what we did well, lick our wounds what we didn't do well, and look forward to, you know, another tough contest this week.
When you have a result like that against the Bulls, what's the sort of reflection? How do you deal with it?
You remind them how well you went the week before. So in relation to, you know, it's about having balance, and you've known me long enough that I probably don't deviate too much from, you know, the 7.5. But you've just got to take it for what it is. You know, the disappointing thing about the Bulls thing is obviously the result, of course, and no one's going to sit here and defend that. But we learned a lot from it. We learned there was a lot of people carried a lot of residual from the week before, which took a massive physical, emotional effort. The people that came in, we know more about them now. The people that backed up, we know a little bit more about them as well. So yeah, every day's a learning day. So from that point of view, the disappointment thing is that we didn't get anything from the game, because we played very positively. Even, you know, a couple of interceptions, we get 4 tries there. You know, come home from South Africa with 6 points. You know, everyone would have probably taken that. But you know, we fell 1 point short. But you know, considering where we've been and our record this year against the South African opposition, we can't be too upset.
And a trip to Leinster, another tough one. What are you expecting from them after their sort of European exertions last weekend? Sort of team, what sort of chance are they going to post for you?
Well, they're the juggernaut, aren't they? You know, they've got 60 odd players of the same calibre, and you know, so from that point of view, it doesn't matter who wears the shirt. You know that Leinster is effectively a superpower, you know, of the URC, and you know how difficult that is to match that. So they've got a lot to play for. They're a very, very good team. As I said, it doesn't matter who puts the shirt on, it's really difficult to compete. But we've competed there before, we'll compete there again and see where it takes us.
In terms of the top 8, Toby, do you think you need to win all 3 games? How tight it is? How do you see that sort of battle? Because it's so tight between 5th and 11th, isn't it?
I know we've got to probably win 2. Like if you look at statistically what it's taken previously to be in there, this is an unprecedented year, and look, I think people are going to take points off each other. I think that's just the nature of it. Whether you're playing people that want home semi-final or trying to get in, it's all the day. I mean, I'm sure the sponsors are loving it because it's, you know, there's a lot of games. So you know, all we can do is focus on what we want to do and keep us at the centre of that. And you know, if it ends up being enough, great. If it doesn't, then there's a learning curve, probably not in the last 3 weeks, but what we've done elsewhere, and that's always the challenge, you know.
Bit of housekeeping, anybody come back from South Africa? Anybody back? Anybody unavailable from the couple of weeks that you've had?
Adam Beard's not available. He fell out of the line out, and that's quite a distance for him, as you can imagine. So he's hurt his ankle, so he won't be around. Jack Morgan's back in this week. I think everyone else is, as you already know.
So Jack Morgan available for selection this week?
Yeah.
What a boost for you, and also the player himself.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You know, long-term injuries are really difficult to deal with emotionally, and we seem to have no injuries or long-term injuries. It doesn't seem to be any short-term ones. So you know, that's the nature of the beast. But having Jack back is great. You know, there's been a different energy out the session that we've just done because of the calibre of the whole group. You know, not just the starting team, but the people that are running the opposition side or the non-23 side. So I think that, you know, there's no substitute for strength in depth and competition for places, because it keeps the energy, motivation, and the standards high. So yeah, we're pleased about that.
And you say you've had no injuries or long-term injuries. How would you describe Adam? How is he? Is it a long-term or is it a short-term? Hoping to get him back before the end of the season.
I've just answered that question. We don't have short-term.
No,
I'm joking. No, it's
yeah.
I can't see him playing for us for the rest of the year, to be fair. So that'll be difficult for him, and you know, I think it probably going to be difficult for him to tour, you know, for the summer. So look, like all these things, you need to get to a certain point before you can give exact timings, but you know, we're talking probably months rather than weeks.
Maybe pre-season for you?
Yeah, I would have thought so. Which, in hindsight, sometimes for a player is a good thing. You know, he can't remember probably the last time he did a pre-season, so it gives a chance to, you know, he's played a hell of a lot of rugby this year with the World Cup and whatever, and he's been brilliant, and he's very durable and doesn't get injured much, so, you know, it'll be a new experience for him, but ultimately he'll come back strong because of it, and raring to go, no doubt.
Thank you, Toby. Good luck on the weekend. Hope it goes well.
No problem. Thank you.
You don't mind if I jump in, gents? Toby, have you had any clarification on whether Max Nagy qualifies to play for Wales?
No.
No?
We've asked, and we're as interested in the answer as you are. Because, and I don't know where, I mean, I think that's not necessarily a rugby thing. I think it's more of a government thing. About where the start date is, so you know when the qualification period comes along. But yeah, no, for sure, we've repeatedly asked the same question.
No worries. And given the Dragons have announced some departures this week, can you confirm anyone leaving the Ospreys this summer?
No, I cannot.
No worries.
Nice. I appreciate the question, but yeah, no. We have a plan for all of that, you know, around what we announce, when we announce it, as you can imagine, and also absentees, and with the nature of what it does, that's a bit of a movable feast, and we'd rather have certainty for everybody and respect for everybody, you know, to learn the information once. You know, it's not always a great thing when you have to announce people that are going, as you can imagine, so we want to make sure we do it as respectfully and as cleanly and effectively as possible.
No problem, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So Simon, yeah, how are you, mate?
Good, mate, how are you?
Yeah, good. Just a bit more on Leinster. I like the phrase, you know, juggernaut, that sums them up very well. But do you sense that they've almost had a kind of a different kind of challenge this year, more so than ever? Because obviously they did the thing of taking essentially a second side down to Leinster, down to South Africa, and didn't come away with everything. Do you think generally it's getting harder to compete on both league and European front now with the nature of the URC?
Good question. I think the first part of that is they did the same last year in Leinster. They did you know, it's obviously a policy thing for them, you know, and their coaches go home early as well. And I think Leo's, as far as I'm aware, I don't know if that's true, but you know, they've got the luxury of making those choices where others don't necessarily because of the squad size. So by that nature alone, it's harder because you have to put the same load through the same people. You know, I mean, I think I'm right to say James Lowe not played very many URC games this year. I think it's only a couple. He's played all of Europe, and so you know, that's the benefit of having deep pockets and deep squads. You know, so there's no complain or whinging about it. It is what it is. But again, I suppose there's an expectation and around that, and the have and the have-nots. But look, as we've probably been, you know, or you guys have probably mentioned to me more than I have to you, is, you know, we've surprised a few people on how we've gone this year. So it shows that it still can be done. It's very, very difficult, but it can be done. But that's what the beauty of sport. You know, you saw this week in Champions League, Borussia Dortmund didn't have a chance according to everybody, but they find themselves in the final. So it's just how it is, and we can only control ourselves. But is it hard to compete? Yeah, it is very hard.
It's been a long old haul, Toby, since we first interviewed you back, probably got September.
When you sat in the pavilion up there.
Exactly. How much gas is there left in your lads, and how much gas is left in you for this final straight?
Well, I think again, comparing certain situations, is I think the gas runs out very quickly if you've got nothing to play for. You know, I think that's really difficult if you've got things that you can still hang your hat on and external motivation and you know whether you're either in a relegation dogfight in football parlance, or trying to push into something. It's those dead rubbers that really make it so more difficult to get up to. We found that last year when we came out of Europe. Really, it was very, very difficult for us. But this year we're in with a shout. So long may that continue.
All the best of the weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, Si. Thanks.
Hi, Toby. Only a little bit from me. Last time out, you said after the game there was a few inaccuracies in your team's display. Is that the key message this time? Is to look to try and improve them from the get-go, from the start this time round?
Yeah, I think every coach will want people to be more accurate, because that's ultimately what matters. The difference is when you play against the very top sides and you're inaccurate, you either spurn a really good chance and you don't get as many, or they capitalise on them. And in the Bulls game, certainly that was the case. And I think in the Stormers game, we probably applied the pressure to them and created that same situation. So, rugby's a game about dealing with pressure, and the physicality. And, we're going into a team that's extremely good. You don't do what you do to La Rochelle by accident, especially on the back. I think they're a better team now because I think the change in coaching has added a bit of freshness, probably, and a bit more edge to them. And obviously they're extremely physically fit because of coming off a World Cup campaign where Ireland are a very formidable team, and you look at Leinster and there's a lot of Irish internationals in that makeup. So I think if you put all those things into an ingredients list, as it were, you've got a very formidable side, and we need to make sure that we're trying to control our own environment the best we can, and that starts with turning up with the right mindset. Secondly, the right work ethic and the effort, and thirdly, then we need to make sure that we are accurate. In parts of the game that we need to be accurate in, because you won't get as many chances, or you won't be able to apply pressure to them.
When you speak about pressure, that was my next question really. Would you say that level of pressure has been lifted a little bit now, with maybe expectation a little bit lower coming into this game? And would you give your players a little bit more freedom to really play the game they want to play?
You've heard me say before, pressure's for tyres. So I'll stay with the same message. We have to, pressure is a privilege. We choose to do what we do. We're privileged enough to do it, and that comes with it. So if you can't deal with the concept of pressure, then you're probably doing the wrong job. So from that point of view, it's just part and parcel of what we do. So from that point of view, we know what we have to do. We all have a specific plan built on strong principles and foundations that we try and deliver every week. And if we can do that, we'll always, as you've seen this year, we'll be in with a shout. If we don't do that well enough, we'll